Hello, and welcome to another episode of Brettcast Gaming Talk. I am so very excited to be playing one of the latest Pokemon games around this time next month, so I had to do this. This is going to be a series of videos in which I'm going to be reading the article in the latest issue of Gameinformer that is titled Going Big, the behind-the-scenes story of Pokemon's next evolution. So this first part will cover the first 2 pages of the article, and so let's get right into it. Since Pokemon's debut, the mainline series has existed solely on handheld devices. Being able to adventure in the world of Pokemon while being anywhere in the real world is enticing, but fans have long clamored to see the series deliver a mainline console RPG. However, developer Game Freak was reluctant to create a game that players couldn't take with them. The release of the hybrid Nintendo Switch changed everything. Now, unrestrained by the traditional limitations of dedicated handheld devices, Game Freak sets out to make what it considers to be the ultimate version of Pokemon. We traveled to the team's Tokyo headquarters to learn the inspirations behind the various additions and advancements of Pokemon Sword and Shield. Walking into the unassuming Carrot Tower in Tokyo, you would never guess the creators of the highest-grossing entertainment franchise in the world were just a couple of 100 feet above you. After a short elevator ride and stroll through a plain, twisting hallway, a door opens to a conference room, and suddenly you are presented with the rich history that has been made here. Lining the walls of the conference room is every game, every soundtrack, and hundreds of figures from the world's largest entertainment juggernaut. While the shelves housing the mainline entries of the Pokemon series read like a history book for Nintendo's handheld devices, when you get to the end, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee immediately stick out as the sole console entries. The games, which released last year on Nintendo's current flagship platform, effectively transitioned the series to the hybrid format. But while those reimaginings of the first generation games served as a crowd-pleasing bridge to the next evolution of the franchise, they did more for the development teams at Game Freak. The Pokemon Let's Go games served as a way for the studio to get down the development basics for Nintendo's new console, introducing new features, like wild Pokemon appearing in the environments, and a giant leap forward in terms of visuals. Fans enjoyed these games and loved having a modern remake as a starting point for the franchise on Switch, but Game Freak had greater ambitions with the new technology than simply recreating past glories. During development of the Let's Go games, the team realized creating games on Switch was no small task when compared to developing on lower resolution handheld devices. I think the biggest takeaway was how the graphics and rendering work is so different from the 3DS, says Pokemon Sword and Shield director Shigeru Omaru. Apologies if I butchered that name. Needing to staff up and figure out how we're able to get that to work really well on Switch takes more time, and we needed more resources. The studio grew in size, nearly doubling the core team since the development of Sun and Moon. With 180 to 200 core members, hundreds of outsourced and external partners, and a large marketing department, the full team is massive. When you factor in the localization teams across the 9 languages the game is launching in, Omaru estimates that around 1,000 names will appear in the credits of Pokemon Sword and Shield. Using key takeaways from the Let's Go games, the rapidly growing team at Game Freak forged ahead with its vision for the next generation of Pokemon games. We set out with the idea of making the ultimate, strongest, and the best Pokemon game yet, being on Nintendo Switch, the first time an all-new generation is coming to a console, Omaru says. It was really kind of applying this idea of ultimate to every facet of the game, gameplay, visuals, everything. This was really the theme for when I set out for making the game, the greatest Pokemon game. And that is the end of part 1. That's all I have to say, so thanks for listening, and goodbye.